Welcome to the Wash Forward Show, where we explore the world of car wash. We're your hosts, Blake and Tyler from Top Car Wash, with special guests Michelle Soderquist, VP Distribution, and Travis Feller, VP Product Development. Today, we're tackling a topic that's important for the environment and the bottom line of car wash businesses everywhere: water optimization.
Cool. Thanks for the intro, Blake. Remember, if you have any questions at any time, use the group chat, shoot us a text. Blake and I, either one of us, will get it answered.
Yeah, thanks, Ty. Michelle, Travis, let's start by telling us about yourselves and how you came to work together at NCS.
Sure.
Perfect.
Gonna go first, Travis? Go for it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks,
Perfect.
Michelle.
Travis,
My name's
ladies
Travis.
first, man. Ladies first.
Well, then there you go, Michelle. You can go first.
Okay. I'm Michelle Soderquist, VP of Distribution. And how did I get here? I started at a small distributorship in Colorado, acquired by NCS almost 8 years ago, and then made my way through chemical, equipment, acquisitions of business phases, and then on to distribution. So Travis and I worked together on a couple different projects, but particularly on water optimization over the last year. So that's kind of how we tied ourselves together.
Awesome.
Excellent.
All right, Travis, your turn. Go for it.
Thanks. Travis Feller, VP of Product Development here at NCS. Been in the car wash industry for over 15 years. Started with Ecolab back in the day in the chemistry business and transitioned over to Zep Vehicle Care with that acquisition. Moved my way over to Hydroflex on the chemical dispensing front, and then here now at NCS overseeing product development over across the business units. So work on taking key customer requirements, transitioning them into technical specifications for the engineering team, and developing and launching innovative products to the industry. So we'll be talking a little bit about water here today, and water reclamation is one of the areas that we really focus in with Pure Clean.
Got it. Man, that's a wild ride and a mouthful.
I've been working on that elevation.
Both of you guys have like 10, 15 boxes to check of experience.
I just keep mine short and sweet to the point, so no one really knows here.
Mystery. Well, cool. Let's jump into kind of the state of the industry. So when you think about kind of water being the precious resource that it is now, and it's one of the industry's most significant operational costs. But what if I told you that optimizing water usage could reduce expenses, enhance the quality of your wash, and improve customer satisfaction? So let's explore the state of the industry, some common issues that most of us face, and ways to discover inefficiencies, and how to lower your costs by using the right equipment and technology.
Yeah, absolutely. The outlook for the water usage in the car wash industry is increasingly focused on sustainability and efficiency, reflecting broader environmental concerns. As the U.S. car wash market is projected to grow, water conservation practices are becoming a key differentiator for businesses. There's a big difference between traditional and eco-friendly car washes when it comes to water usage. Some have reclaim, some don't have any reclaim, some are using reclaim and maybe not using it to its greatest capacity. So traditional car washes can go anywhere from 15 to 80 gallons of fresh water per vehicle, which is quite a range and then quite a cost. So on the other hand, eco-friendly car washes are getting smarter about it, cutting down the cost to less, or cutting that down to less than 40 gallons per wash, thanks to advanced filtration and water reclaim technologies. This is especially important in areas where water is scarce and where drought conditions are a concern.
Thanks. And remember, if you have any questions anytime, shoot us a message in the chat or text Blake or I, and we'll try to get your questions answered one way or another. So as we kind of move on to the next, common issues with water optimization. Travis, Michelle, we know that water is a key factor in driving costs down. What are some of the common roadblocks that you guys have seen in the field that make water optimization, the car wash, difficult?
Yeah, I'll start there. Tyler, thanks for the intro. And Blake had mentioned water reclamation as being one of the key drivers in driving down water costs. And he also mentioned a wide range there of 15 to 80 gallons of water per car. So just driving that down a little bit can make a significant impact in your operational costs at your wash. So with water, at some locations being over $20 per 1,000 gallons for fresh and discharge, that can be a significant savings if you just reduce your water consumption by, 10 or 20 gallons from that 80. So with our current environment, it's very important for us to reduce operational expenses. And one of the areas that you can really drive that home is with water reclamation. I'm sure that most people are familiar with what that is. It's the reuse of the water that you capture during the wash process. So you have a series of underground tanks that you settle out and are needed to discharge that water to the municipal sewer or sanitation, but you can also capture that water and reuse it in the wash process. So one of the primaries is a mechanical system. So that's physically either spinning or filtering out some of the particulates, getting it down below 5 micron, and then also supplementing that with like a UV or an ozone to get rid of those organic materials and also drive down that odors that can potentially come from that water. So there's been a lot of challenges in the past when it comes to water reclamation, and there's definitely challenges when it comes to reuse in the wash process. So some of the challenges that people experience, you can have clogging of the nozzles, you can have slime and sludge build up, you can have buildup on your wraps, you can get the walls dirty. Those are all things that are present when you're not maintaining or you don't have it properly sized or something isn't running correctly. So those are all things that you can affect, and you can also help maintain with a regular schedule. So I know Tyler's done a great job at his wash of driving down water consumption, but he also does a great job of maintaining a daily, weekly, and monthly checklist when it comes to maintaining those systems on site. Tyler, would you like to give us a little more information on what you do at your site and how you maintain those systems and how you help keep your wash clean by still reusing that water?
Yeah, I'm going to get into that just after Michelle. I'm going to let her cover her part of this, and then I'm going to go right into it.
Perfect,
No.
thanks.
Yeah, one of my things that I've noticed and talked to with, because working with new investors, I'm just going to focus on that piece is why would I use reclaim? And then a lot of the noise in the industry is around how it's really tough to clean with reclaim.
Mm.
So Travis kind of he talked a little bit about that is do we really want to put reclaim in? There's areas of the country where the water isn't quite as expensive. There's other areas where it's very expensive. And so taking a more standardized approach to water optimization is where NCS is headed, helping either the new investor and or if we're moving into acquisitions. But Travis, he spoke, and you can speak a little bit more about that. But when they're saying, hey, it's sticky, we can't get it off, it's a struggle. What are some of our ways that we combat those arguments, right? And I think part of that is what you talked about, like maintaining the system, as well as looking at how the system is even set up, how it's plumbed, and we'll kind of go into that a little bit further. But Tyler, kind of going back to what Travis also said, what is some of the things that you guys have heard, like you as well? What are some of the common threads out there that even on Talk Car Wash we see coming back? Is it around reclaim? Is it around maintaining? Probably, I'm kind of guessing less around maintenance, maybe more around reclaim itself.
Yeah, I think there's still quite a few operators out there, depending on where they're at, where, either we own another wash in Alabama that we don't have reclaim in it because the water rates are so cheap. And, you kind of got to balance out it. Reclaim systems aren't the easiest to maintain. You got to work at them and you got to stay on top of them. And I think there are still a lot of people hung up in that as, they would need to justify the big investment for that unit to outweigh their low water costs or vice versa. And kind of what I've leaned into some people is, even if you have a $2,000, $2,500 water bill, what if you cut that in half a month? I mean, then you're still talking about, 12, 16, 18 months, you return your investment on that unit. And if you buy the right system, they're not that hard to maintain. So I would say that, the smell, and then where to correctly use the reclaim versus freshwater versus RO at. Those are the big ones that I constantly hear. Blake?
Yeah, yeah. Pretty much on Talk Car Wash, it's about smell, or sometimes about maintaining the waste basket. That's a common thread because it's touched on a daily basis. But for the most part, people are just it's kind of been a new wave of trying to cut costs, because as operational costs have gone up in different areas, people are looking for ways to be more competitive, more efficient, And when you look at the water and the water bill, and it's something that you can affect, it's a change that's on every single cycle count, versus just a fixed change, or you got to see a long time to see the benefit, or you can't really prove it. It's actually a difference on every single car that goes through the tunnel. And I think that's something that a lot more people are starting to pay attention.
You know, we've talked
Uh,
about this before, but we do this yearly. We do this exercise. We go, all right, where are we burning money at? Like, literally, where are we lighting money on fire at? And water always comes up every year. Like, what can we do to adjust that burn? We got to slow that burn down or put that burn out.
Yeah, that's the natural place is water, and then I think the second follow would be chemistry, like 2 hot topics and buttons for everybody operationally owning washes. So I think naturally that would mean how do washes take that approach? How do you streamline it? And that's where you lead yourself into an audit, right? And if you don't have an audit sheet or something to follow or a person that can help you with that, that's where like we would come in. Tyler, you've kind of done some work on that as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, talk about kind of Camel Express, what that water audit looks like, and then Travis and I can talk about where we can go with that as well. For
Yeah. So we've kind of, I put this, ours is digital, of course, but I kind of exported everything and put together this reclaim system PM checklist. Now, this is full system, and this is what our team does daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. And we do rely on some vendors to do some of these things, especially checking the foot valves and the tanks and things like that. But when we kind of did our water quality audit, so 2023 was kind of our year of really pay attention to water, because as our volume started to get higher on the sites, we started having a lot of members. Of course, you watch your water bills where they're, $2,000 a month. And then by the time you look up, they're $9,000 a month. You go, holy cow. So we kind of went front of the tunnel, back of the tunnel, really focused on everything that was non-reclaim first. So our chemical applicators, tips in the applicators, the size injectors that were used, the brand, or that whether it was a foaming rain bar or a V-jet, K-nozzle, whatever it may be. And just by switching some of those applicators that were, say there were 3.5 gallons a minute, and we used an applicator that was 2.5 gallons a minute, we cut a gallon out of every car. And then we looked at areas like, our wet downs and using ROR. When that runs out, of course, you have a float in the tank that'll pick back up with fresh water, but there was a ton of ROR we were dumping in the pit. Looking at things like, pretty much knee down, we're using reclaim on everything. So, even some of the low side washers, the chain rinse, the trench flush, the high pressure side blasters, a lot of that stuff that we were looking at. And then we really paid attention to a lot of how the plumbing was done in the tank. Um, Making sure the baffles were set up correctly, make sure there were no deadheads. And I know I always throw people off with deadheads, but when you have a reclaim line, you never want to have just a T that runs off the side that doesn't go anything, that just sits there, because anywhere where it's not continuous flow, you get that sludge and stuff that builds up, and it causes odor. And then making sure the water continuously runs. We feed our high pressure tanks with a 1/4 inch overflow line that goes back to the pit. We have the underflush, of course, in the first tank that keeps the water moving. And then the way we set our reclaim tanks up, there's nothing that goes out of the last tank. Everything has to flow back. So just a lot of little things we've done with that water audit to get it to where we were able to lower company usage. We went from about 35 gallons a car to 14.77 of fresh water, which ultimately lowered our water bills $10,000 a month company wide, a little over $10,000 a month. So then you start putting, $120,000 a year back to the bottom line. Man, you can buy a couple reclaim units for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Much more too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I hear you speak, I think of anybody who's coming into the industry knew like, wow, that was a laundry list. And what am I going to do? Like, who do I speak to? And there's a lot of vendors, a lot of us that can help, right? And any operator. So it'll be nice for us to share that out to people listening today, right? That'll be a nice little resource, kind of like hot tips. What can you do? That audit's a nice hot tip. Here you go. Check it out. I think taking it to the next level, when we started doing it, I went into my wash and did the same thing. We run on shares of water. So after so many shares, we bump up. Well,
Mm.
I got the notice from our partnership. We're bumping up, and it was not small. And I thought, well, okay, I should know. I should be ahead of this. And I wasn't. Shame on me. Yes, we have audits. Yes, I've been building the audits, and Travis has been working with us hand in hand. So we really had to get down to the nitty gritty. So I think about the process of a new coming into the industry and an acquisition. So we already have our wash, it's built. Now what do we do? So we'll take the hot tip audit that you have here, and then from NCS perspective, we'll come in and we'll really dissect. So dissecting means a couple things. One, if you're coming new into the industry, looking at standardization. So as Tyler was speaking, I heard him talk about the lines, the underground. That's where, when we're building out at the very beginning, we should be your partner to help in that process, and showing you what that looks like when the tanks are being put into the ground. Where are the lines running? Identifying from the drawings from the very beginning, where is fresh reclaim going, and then having those really good open conversations. Seems like a lot when you're first coming into the industry, but with the right partner, it gets you the optimal state that that wash might need to run in, regardless of what the city decides to do with their water costs, right? So I just want to talk just briefly. Hey, new guys, it's going to be okay. There's a lot of people here that got your back and can help you through it. And that's what we've tried to build, is this program to help people new. And then when it comes to acquisition, it is what it is. You here it is. This is
You
what
make
I
it work.
bought.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
make it.
this is what I bought. I don't have reclaim, right, Blake? Like, what happens then?
Yeah.
Where do we go from there? And so really, Travis, do you want to talk about kind of what does it look like from an acquisition? Because it's a bit more complicated, because we can standardize all day long and give all the answers and really help there. And then when you go into acquisitions, kind of what we've been doing with some of our multi-site operators, what does that look like from an NCS perspective? And how can we help there?
Yeah, just like Blake and Tyler were talking about. I mean, going through and looking at the wash process and mapping it out and figuring out, where you're using more water than you want, and identifying areas where we can really help drive that down through changing out injectors or different applicators. And also, just like you were saying, Michelle, I mean, making sure that everything's working correctly so you're optimizing that process. So, when you buy something new or existing, when you buy something existing, you don't know what's underground. So, I mean, going in, making sure that the water flow is going through those tanks correctly. Tyler talked a little bit about it, making sure that, your downturns are down. So you're slowing down the flow through. So you're getting proper settling. So you get good water quality coming out, and you're getting rid of most of those particulates before they go in through that mechanical separation. So, I mean, really driving home and making sure that things are set up correctly and setting yourselves up for success is important for sure.
Travis,
Yeah.
let's say even, an acquisition that we did that was missing an underflush pipe, we took a soft 1-inch hose and ran it down through the pit, through the drain, mounted it to the side of the wall in the tank, and we made it work. It wasn't pretty, but it solved the reclaim issue there. And it saved us, 20, 30, $40,000 digging up the parking lot. So there's ways it can be done if you get enough creative people around you.
Yeah. And I
Good
like the
point.
approach of the front to back. When you walk into the wash and whatever tech is there, they're going to take a front to back total approach, right? So not leaving anything, whether it's down to the nozzle, the injector. And then when we look at that approach, you'll just make those changes. So if reclaim isn't an option, like you said, Tyler, you got really creative. When reclaim's not an option, what are the rain bars set at? Where are they 3-hole? Are they 1? What's the nozzles? How are they getting clogged? How often are they getting clogged? Because sometimes that helps out. How much water is going on the car at the very end of the wash, and what kind of water is it to help with drying? Because ultimately, we're here to get a really good, clean car. So when we water optimize, ideally, we want to put out that better, cleaner looking car, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked a lot about a proactive approach here, things you can do on the front side with hard settings and stuff. But, car washes can face several issues that can impact the wash quality and the effectiveness of the wash. For instance, if things aren't being properly taken care of, the buildup of the hydrogen sulfide gas, uh, while the contaminated water can enter the reclaim system, compromising water quality. Poor maintenance practices may lead to sludge accumulation and system failures, clogging up all of your nozzles in the bay, clogging up several of the lines, your check valves. It can lead to a large accumulation of problems once you start to not take care of it. Additionally, insufficient treatment or filtration can result in dirty reclaimed water. I mean, sometimes on Top Car Wash, we'll see people post their high pressure tanks in the background or the back room with the foam and everything oozing over, or their lids popped off, and something is going on in the reclaim, and typically that comes from neglect or some type of issue with their chemistry or so forth. So all of these factors can diminish the quality of reclaimed water, leading to complications throughout the car wash process. To address some of these challenges, solutions like NCS chemistry and a lot of other really great products have been introduced to help improve performance and water quality.
Yeah, appreciate that. And again, if anybody has any questions, make sure to hit it in the chat or text Blake and I. We'll make sure you get it answered. Something that I was just sitting here thinking about while you guys are going through that is we often hear odor a lot. I've never seen an odor problem that couldn't be resolved through getting your chemistry talking correctly. Some chemistry doesn't work good with other chemistry, and then ensuring that the water moves and ensuring you're doing your maintenance. If you do those three, I've never seen a chemical industry or a odor issue not just disappear. So those are kind of easy steps. And then one thing that I was going to say is like if I had to give you one action item today, the easiest thing to do to work on your water is just make sure things are cutting off and on in timing. Man, timing is like, can't tell me washes I go to where the freshwater the freshwater wet down is running like 10 foot before the front of the car, the whole car 10 foot after the car. The soap's coming on 4 or 5 feet in front of the car. Doesn't seem like a lot until you watch
Adds up.
20,000 cars.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
So timing has been key.
Yeah, we've definitely experienced that with some of our multi-site operators where we've gone in and as you've seen in the industry, lots of acquisitions. So that was the number one thing that you just said. It was timing. We just had to go and evaluate and stand there and watch timing and make all those adjustments. And when you have 50 to 100 locations, that's time consuming, but you saved over 20, close to 20% just looking at timing, which is crazy. I think the average though really is 10 to 15% on savings. I don't want to make it over
Yep.
exaggerated. That's the average, but timing is a simple thing to get in and do. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it just like you said, it takes somebody standing in the tunnel, put a frog tog or a rain suit on if you got to, because you're gonna get wet. And take notes, write things down, make an adjustment, go watch it again. Take notes, write things down, make an adjustment, go watch it again. It's over and over again. The best thing though is like just shy of some major overhaul or something. You can kind of set those things, and once you set them, they're dialed in. You don't have to play with them. And I've seen people go, no, because then maybe my foamer doesn't work right. Well, you need to do the maintenance on it. You got a maintenance problem because once you set that, it's dialed in. It's not going to change. Your water quality may change, your chemistry may change, your maintenance may change, but that foamer only knows when to come on and when to cut off based on otherwise. So, like I said, I haven't seen one we couldn't solve yet.
Yeah, yeah. I think the maintenance part is key because, like you said, it's set it and forget it. But what doesn't set and forget is the maintenance side. That I think you were telling me, Tyler, that it's about every 4 months that you're taking a look and reevaluating nozzles and what because that's what clogs. We just did it 3 months ago. I went in and was working on my wash, and all of them were clogged already. Now, granted, I was saving some water, not good for what was coming out the other side, but yeah, that was only 3 months ago, and our staff was all on top of it. So it was an indicator to me is, hey, walk that tunnel, check and see, and really a regular maintenance is 4 to 6 months. Highly recommended.
Yeah, it is. And also depending on what water, if you have reclaimed water going through some, it eats the tips away a lot faster because it's not clay. Again, it's reclaimed water. It still has some form of grit or something in it that eats away at those tips over time. It's no different than dropping water on a rock. At some point, you start to eat through that rock. So we've switched to a lot of stainless in our tunnel. This seems to have a lot better life. The plastic wears out pretty quickly, but on the other side, that stainless tip might be $16. You can get 100 pack of those plastic tips for $16. So you just got to do what fits you. So yeah, we've looked at a lot of that stuff and really went over it in fine detail. Like I said, that PM list that NCS is sharing, that's ours. We just took it out of the digital version and put it on a paper copy. And then you got to make sure you hold your teams accountable not to pencil whip that stuff. You have to make sure the maintenance department is checking behind them, because as great as our fellow team members are, we still have people that pencil whip them. They'll check it off, but the item didn't get done, or they'll kind of do it halfway. All these items have to be done 100%. I know that checklist is daunting when you look at it and you go, holy cow, you guys do that daily? Yes, we do it daily, but we have no reclaim issues. We have no odor issues. We have no dryness or spotting issues. You got to do those things. That's how you become successful.
Yep, absolutely.
And one of the big things too, Michelle, you talked about the optimization process. So once you get your tunnel dialed in and you achieving what you want from a water consumption standpoint, one of the biggest things is making sure that you're staying at that level. And one way you can do that is through water metering or water monitoring. So making sure that you're maintaining that, 25, 30 gallons of per car, and you're tracking that over time. And if it goes outside of those parameters, you're automatically notified. So at NCS, we're going to be launching a new program of water metering / monitoring that's going to be in our NCS Lens platform. So you'll be able to see what your water usage is, how much that water usage is costing per car, and also be notified of any outside parameter changes. So if it goes above or below your water consumption, where you may be, having a water leak or your reclaim system gets turned off, you'll be automatically notified. So you don't have to go 30 days and see it on your water bill. You can be automatically notified and push that over to a site associate to go and check some of the common things that may be causing that.
Wow.
Definitely proactive versus reactive, right? We love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and with the water meters at our site, that I just like is that I know my facilities director's on it weekly. It's all part of his Tuesday list. But we're lucky that we live in a municipality to where we have great digital water readings by the city that give you to the minute info, which is great. But if nobody checks those numbers, you might as well not even be paying attention to it. With the water meter, it pushes it to our phones if we go over a set allotment of water. If there's a major issue, it will call you out and it'll say, hey, well, you might want to go check this out. So
Yeah.
the technology's just come too far to be letting, we had a water leak last year, cost us $24,000 prior to putting these in. And, you think about what you could have put in to prevent that was, $99 a month, whatever it may be. And if it saves, half of a water leak a year, you paid for all your locations. So, and then you get data on it, and you could do a lot with the data with that.
You can.
Or if you have somebody that turns off your reclaim system and all of a sudden you're using 20 or 30 gallons more a car. I mean, it doesn't take too many days for that to add into, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in water usage.
Or if your freshwater bypass solenoid gets stuck.
Or if you're waiting on parts and it's just shut down while you're waiting on parts.
Yeah, I think we've had it all happen.
All
Well,
the above.
I really appreciate you guys jumping on here. If anybody on here, if you want to save money on your water bill, feel free to reach out to the team at NCS, and they're happy to do a water audit for you. We'll be announcing our next topic soon, and don't forget to join us in February. You can register on the link in the chat or under the events tab on our Facebook page, and we'll also have it on the Talk Car Wash Facebook page. Again, appreciate everybody joining. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Hey, one last thing. If you would like to download that preventive maintenance checklist, see the link below and you can download that. No strings attached.
So recently we just rolled out graphene in a lot of our markets, and we're continuing to roll this out, and it has been just amazing.
The buzz around graphene has been fantastic. The after effect of graphene has been amazing across the board. After customers use and try the graphene for the first time, raving reviews. Have not had any negative reviews when it comes to the graphene application. Absolutely love it.
We're seeing the results. The second the car drives off the lot, you're seeing this kind of shiny, wet look.
When you're walking the vacuum lot, as you're walking through and you're looking at cars, you can pretty much pick out the cars that had the graphene application and those that didn't. It's that much of a difference.
It is really the future of shine and protection for your vehicle, and it's been amazing for our customers and for our company.
Armor and Rain-X are a brand name. They're a household name. People go to certain sports brands. They go to certain gas stations just because of the branding.
For example, let's look at Rain-X. It's been around a long time. A lot of customers out of any other chemical, from my experience, know what Rain-X is. For example, if you go to AutoZone, they've got Rain-X branded wiper blades. It's a very, very common name. So using something like that in a wash, it establishes a little bit of credibility and familiarity.
If people like and know of a name, they're going to come back to us just for that reason. Now you can say, well, we have a rain repellent. They go, like Rain-X? Well, yeah, it's like Rain-X. but it's not Rain-X. And I think that's where having those branding and keeping those brandings is fundamentally sound to do. Anytime there is branding, people like branding.
From the beginning, my business partner and I have always looked at the brand recognition. When you train your customer that brand recognition is important and they start to identify with Armor All and Rain-X and they're like, those are what we want, that's why they're willing to put that $25 in for that wash, because they know they're getting a quality product.